put the volume up on this.
There isn't?
Not like here. I'm looking for this. I'm live now, though.
Well, what's the microphone up there on the side? There's a microphone. What's that?
It shuts it off or on. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
You have to get in close and personal, Twyla.
Okay.
Welcome to our Monday night sew-along. We know we do have a few new people on here tonight, so we are going to go over a few things. Are you in trouble?
No, I got it. I just can't see. There we go. Okay, we're good.
Okay. We have
not in this one. Oh, she's over. Here we go. Okay.
There we go. So we have a baby quilt to show first while we wait for some people to get on.
There it is.
There it is. Look at this baby quilt.
So this is made with a charm pack and a panel of Heather Briggs's line that just came out called Sunbonnet Sue. Isn't that sweet?
Isn't that cute?
It's absolutely adorable.
And that's a free pattern on our page.
It is.
So,
and you could actually do one more row on that if you want it longer, because the pattern calls to use 10 of the Sunbonnet Sue pictures, and the panel has 12, and you put 2 in each row. So you could actually go one more row, and I think out of the charm pack, you'd manage to get your extra block that you needed too. So
she always comes with something made up.
Well, I don't have a lot made up this week.
So we have a few new people on tonight that are looking to understand how we do our block of the month and our sew-alongs. So our block of the month is which week of them?
It's next week. So it's the second Monday. The block of the month that we're currently doing is the second Monday of the month. Is this week that we set aside for the block of the month. We are doing the block of the month that's called Starlight.
And it's the last one.
It's the last block. And then the month after is like the setting and layout and all that. Yep. So that's the second Monday each month.
For the block of the month.
Yeah.
And then our new block of the month starts in January. And that is...
We have a couple, actually.
I know,
right?
we do. We have a few. That's why when it was hard to explain it to people, I said, just watch tonight. So the block of the month, Bloom, is going to be the second Monday of every month. And that is made out of Lori Holt fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And you can order the block of the month, and it's $25 a month, right?
I think that's what it was.
I think it's $25 a month, and it does involve applique. So if you're not into applique, you might not want to do that one, but we will be showing different methods of applique. So if you
Because typically a Lori Holt one is done with her method, and she does a sew-in method, not like a fusible or a needle turn. So she does a sew-in with a sew-in interfacing, which is a type of pellon, but it isn't the pellon that you buy on the bolt. She has had this specifically designed by Pellon for her in a weight that she finds works well for her technique. So that's what we'll be using.
And that's what you use.
That's what I use, and I do the sew-in method. So you don't have any raw edges with this method. But if you prefer to do like a fusible with Steam a Seam or Wonder Under or any of those products, Deb will be showing how to do that, because I don't do that.
You do a little.
I could do it if I had to, but it isn't my thing. It's her thing, right? So you could do that. You could also do it with needle turn, which I have never done in my life. Ever. Have you?
No.
And both the sew-in, this method, you can hand sew the pieces on after if you're into hand stitching and that's something you like to do and you like to have something like to work on when you're watching TV or traveling in the car or whatever. You can hand stitch it, but you can also machine stitch it down. So you have those options. I'm just wondering what we have here for comments.
So that is Bloom. And the second...
you can't say. Right?
It's kind of a secret. We'll be revealing the next block of the month.
We got to work some things out, but it will be in the
Christmas.
new year.
It will be probably the day after Christmas before...
Well, you might not be the day after Christmas. Do you think?
No, me, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Anyway, sometime right after Christmas, the details will be released.
And we will actually have the quilt done to show you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Nancy's making it now.
Oh, okay, good.
It's going to be ready to show you the next sew along on probably, okay, we'll say the 1st of January. And then you can
And then
decide.
we'll schedule what week of the month we're going to do that one or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
So then that leaves, so that's 2 Monday nights a month that's going to be taken up with block of the months. And then we have
a nautical.
a nautical sew along. It's not a block of the month, it's a sew along. And that will probably be the other 2.
Remind
weeks
me
of
to
the
tell you
month.
something after that.
And we haven't got the details worked out on that yet. We will be getting on that.
But there are a lot of people that like nautical.
Yep.
But the nautical sew along will only be on YouTube.
Yes. So there won't be, we will go through step by step. There will be on the YouTube video in the description will be the cutting sizes for your blocks. But to see how it's put together, you will have to watch the video. We won't be typing up step by step instructions or whatever.
And that's to get everybody over there.
Mm-hmm.
So we want everybody
We want some traffic switched over to YouTube.
Yeah.
We do.
So,
Facebook has become very hard to
well, it's hard.
with the videos because they no longer allow us to keep them for long term, right? So we lose. We're transferring them over to YouTube anyway. Oops, I shouldn't be saying that word. We transfer them over so that we don't lose the videos because you may not start a sew along when we start it. You may be 6 months before you get to it. And right now we don't have the capability to keep them on Facebook anymore because they've made changes and they delete them after 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. So we're trying to switch over.
So we're going to switch that nautical one over and give it a trial run before we switch all of our sew alongs over there.
Oh, Lynn says she appliques now using Hotfix.
Ah, I like
So
that.
are you appliquing because Hotfix advertises that it's durable enough you don't have to stitch it? Are you
stitching it?
Are you stitching it or are you just sticking it down type of thing, Lynn?
That's one of the perks about hot
Yeah,
fix.
it
There's
is.
no top stitching required. I'm not sure I would do that on a quilt without doing some type of stitching.
I would be too worried
I
about it coming
know.
undone, right?
Tammy says, what is the name again?
What
so
is the name
we've got
of
Bloom
We can't give the name of
the other sew along because it's
block
a
of the month.
surprise.
And the sew along, the nautical one, we don't have a name yet because we have to make it up.
Yeah, we're making this quilt. It's
Yeah.
going to be our own original
Yeah,
pattern.
it will be. So we don't have a name for that yet. We don't even have a pattern made yet.
We've got a lot up here.
We do. It just hasn't made it anywhere else.
So let's show this current one that this is our 4th week.
Yeah,
Third or fourth?
Oh no, it's at least 4.
Okay. This is the sew along that
This
we're
is
doing.
the sew along we're currently doing. We are October the 6th. And this is a Kansas Trouble sew along. And it's a Christmas one, as you can see. But we are putting our own
Put it
twist
over
on
here.
it. Yeah, we are putting our own twist on it because we, Deb didn't want another Christmas quilt. So we are substituting any place that there's real specific Christmas blocks in this. We are substituting with other blocks and we aren't using Christmas fabric. But there's a lot of you out there that are using Christmas fabric for it. So this week, we had decided that we were going to do our version for these 2 long stocking blocks.
So some people are saying that the live isn't really good here because we're here talking to the computer over here mostly. The reason we're putting it here is a trial run and to grab some attention here. Eventually all our sew-alongs will be doing it on YouTube.
So you need a moderator on the other live. Oh, what do you mean by the other live, Sarah?
They mean this on YouTube, I think.
Don't say that word to me, Tom.
Okay.
You need a moderator.
Okay. So this is new to us, YouTube, and we can't say the word. Kim wants to know, can that current block of the month be started now? Most definitely. All our videos are on YouTube.
They are. And the pattern, you just have to get your pattern.
Yeah, and we do sell the book.
Yeah.
So let's show this.
Yeah, but that's not the block of the month. She asked about the block of the month, which is Starlight, right?
Yes. You can get that pattern.
Yes.
We have it.
Yeah, and those are on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Whoops, those are on the other place as well. Oh my word. Okay.
All right.
Anyway.
So let's show them the blocks, what we have made.
Okay, so we are replacing, do you remember how our previous, we were using this panel in some of our blocks? So Deb wanted to do, like the panel? Deb wanted to do like a flower pot or some type of a flower in this long stocking block because it is long and narrow, and she thought that would be a really good one. So we're going to give you, I have one pieced, and because this is a purchase pattern, I'm not going to give you the finished sizes. I am going to, on the video, on the other place, in the description, there will be the actual cutting sizes for each piece. As far as putting it together, we're going to talk about it and see, because I don't know how many of you guys are even substituting. So the reason this isn't cut down to size is because I'm not going to tell you what the finished size of the block is. But if you follow the sizes I give you for these pieces, you will end up with something that looks like this, and then go buy your book and trim it to the size that block, you've got extra around here to trim it down and
So if you have any questions that scroll by and we don't get answered, send us a private message on Facebook and we will answer your questions. Do you
send out fabric patches for the Starlight?
Those packages are gone.
They're gone. Yeah. They sold out so fast.
But the Starlight pattern is available.
Yeah.
And you can order yardage to make your own.
Yeah. So if you wanted the shop to do you up a kit, like at a certain colorway or something, and send it out to you all at once, they can do that. Yeah.
But to have them mailed out monthly, that's gone by for that one.
So this is very easy to do. It's basic piecing. Other than this is paper piecing, just this pot, because it's got an angle here. So that's the one thing we will show you tonight, is how to basically draw that out. But each one of these pieces, the measurement will be written in the description under the video on the other site. But it's very easy. These are just snowballed corners. This is 4 individual squares with a center color for the snowballs in the center and your background color out around here on opposite corners. And then you just twist it around. This is just a very long skinny stem. These are rectangles with a little snowball corner on opposite corners. You just have to be careful when you put your your leaves on your stem that they're pointing in opposite directions so that they actually attach to the leaf, to the stem. And the pot, this piece right here is just basically pieced across because it's very straight. This is the only section right here.
It's paper pieced.
That's paper pieced. Now, if you wanted a straight pot there, it'd be simple to just piece it, right? But if you want something with an angle, so I'm going to show you how to draw that one, and then Deb will show you how to stitch it up. We're going to talk about how we come up with, I'm going to show this up close. So this is what I started with, right there. So I calculated that from our particular block here, right there, what size I wanted this strip to be. And I said that I wanted, where's my ruler so I can show? Where's the big ruler hiding?
Over on the table.
Oh, okay. So you have to remember when you paper piece that you've still got to account for a seam allowance. So we are going to start with, there we go. I just want to double check before I give you my measurements. Because I do this stuff earlier in the week, right? So, yes. So, this way, I want you to draw a rectangle that is whoops, I got a bad glare that I can't.
Yeah.
There we go, maybe down here. This way, we want it 3.5 inches tall that way.
So,
Right?
yep, show them over here.
Yeah, I'm just double checking. So this way, you want 3.5 inches tall. We're going to just draw a basic rectangle. So we want 3.5 inches tall and 8.5 inches across this way. So start by doing your outer rectangle, 3.5 by 8.5, utilizing a ruler to get your 90-degree corners. Then the very next step that you're going to do is you're going to use your ruler, and do you see how right here I have a 1/4 inch seam allowance marked the whole way around? So inside the first rectangle that's 3.5 by 8.5, draw your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay? Because what's going to show in your quilt is this inner part, but you still have to have your seam allowance, right? So what's going to show in your quilt is the inner part once you sew it in, but you've got to have your seam allowance calculated in the drawing. And then I did just measure. I measured in 1.5 inches and put a dot. Measure in 1.5 inches and put a dot from both sides. So in on the top, 1.5 inches on both sides, and make a dot on the inner line. 1.5 inches. Then down below, it's 2 inches. On the bottom line, go in 2 inches from each side and put a dot on the inner line. And then connect those. And that gives you your angle. Just with a little bit of a grade going down there. And then you need 3 pieces of fabric. And like I said, I'll put in on the other channel, there will be the sizes that you need to cut for your fabric. So for our pot, we're going to go with this color for the body. And Deb's going to show you how to do that. And our 2 background pieces for these outer pieces. So the brown for the body and 2 background pieces. So Deb, what are you going to do?
I am going to.
Here,
You
can
want
you
to move
see?
that?
Oh, I'm moving it all right. Oh my, that's on a real tilt, isn't it?
So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the technique of paper piecing. You're going to sew to, you're going to put your fabric on the back.
So your drawn part of the pattern is facing you.
The letters, the numbers are towards me. And then I'm going to put this on the back, just like this.
You gotta fold
bring
your
it up.
thing.
Oh, I don't. Oh, do you do that?
Yeah, so that they can see. And I trim it before I sew it.
I don't.
I know. You got enough fabric that way? 'Cause see, I put it on the side. I put it on the angle so that you get more. And you got to, when you flip it, you got to have enough.
We're good.
I don't know if you're good or not when you flip that. You might be.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to show you on the other side what I do. So your very first 2 pieces, you want
Right
the
side.
back of your paper facing the back of your first piece of fabric. So now you're going to take your finger and just finger press that a little bit.
And then we're going to trim it.
Here's your cutter.
So I'm going to do the other side while she's finding my cutter.
So what I'm going to show you what I would do on the other side. I always crease my line. So this line that we're going to sew on, I always crease along that. And make a fold with my fingernail, like that. And then I fold it back this way.
And then you trim off 1/4 inch.
And see, you didn't put your paper down. You didn't hardly put that down far enough. But anyway, but then I take my ruler and I would trim that 1/4 inch seam allowance. Which, where is our ruler? Our rotary cutter.
We had a class over here. I'm just going to trim it.
I don't draw. I would just put my,
Oh, do you?
yeah, I don't draw. I would just put my ruler there and trim that. Then I take this piece and I lay it right along that seam allowance.
Isn't it funny how two people do things so totally?
But then you want to make sure when that's folded down, if this fabric back here doesn't cover this, you have to move it. So if I put this right up even this way, right up here, do you see how this is sticking out and there's no fabric? Chances are you're going to run out of fabric. So put this down so that in behind there you can tell that all of this that's folded down is on that fabric back there. And then when you sew that and flip it out, it will be covered.
Let me sew that.
Put it wherever you sew. Yep. We are getting a second stand so that we can then start angling things down towards the work surface. We're still trying to figure out what works. It just hasn't got here yet. And then we're going to be able to angle things down so you can see better on our work surface.
So then,
right now, if we angle, we're going to lose our tablet on the floor.
I'm just going to go grab a cutter.
Yeah, so now you're just going to trim around this. So you see all these things hanging off. We're going to trim right around the outer line because you want to leave your seam allowance like we showed, right? Because you've got to have seam allowance there to stitch. Man, that lighting is bad on that one. You've got to have that seam allowance. So we're going to trim the paper and everything right to that outer first triangle that we drew.
Got your ruler right there.
There.
So we're going to trim right there.
Can't see on this one here, do I? Man, that's bad. I can't wait till we get the other stand.
I know.
I can't even see where I'm aiming. There we go.
So I don't actually look at the outside line. I look at my 1/4 inch there and trim it so that I don't slice any paper off.
There. Now. Ah! Sorry, I'm going to lose you guys here if I'm not
And
careful.
there is.
So there it is.
Okay.
So all of these other pieces, like I said, the measurements will be there, but it's very, very simple. There's just a bunch of little pieces that you piece everything together. So you sew these together first, and then there is, there we go, right there. You sew these 4 pieces once you snowball it together, add these 2 side pieces, and then you can add the piece across the top. Then you're going to snowball your 2 leaves. There's a background piece that goes above here, and the same size one goes below here to give you that staggered look. Sew those together. Then you're going to add these 2 side pieces. And then you have these filler pieces that you have to add at the top and at the bottom to make this center piece. So then you'd have this center piece done, and you've already done the top piece. Then you can sew those 2 together. Then you're going to make your rim of your pot by sewing these 2 background pieces to this piece. Do your paper piecing and sew your bottom piece on. And then go to your directions for the stocking block in the book and trim it down to the size that it's supposed to be.
So has Debbie Hill done her stocking yet, I wonder? So we have a few people that are doing the Christmas version. Debbie Hill is going to join us in a week or so, and she's going to actually show the blocks in the Christmas version. So do you want to hold up our other blocks? Did you bring them from the first of the week? Because we do have some new people on here, so we'll show the new ones. We have a flying geese.
So the ones that we replaced, hold this up so they can see. So we replaced these Christmas ornaments because that was very Christmassy. So there was 4 here, this block here, these right there, there, and there. So we replaced those. We did in a couple places, like here, we did this type of a block. We have 2 of those because there was 2 places on there that there's, right there, that there's long skinny pieces. This was this piece that goes across here. We just replaced
They almost look like birds.
They do, don't they? This was what? What did we replace that one? Oh, that was these right here. Because not only were the balls Christmassy, this candy was kind of Christmassy. So in the two places that there are those, we have two of these blocks. One had to have something added to the top and bottom to make it fit. This is the one that we used the panel piece for. So on the, where are they? Right there. The churn dash. They had it fussy cut with some Christmas, and we used the panel that we're going to use.
Stocking done.
So we did this one, and we did this one, just with that panel. Isn't that panel cute? It's really cute.
And then this one.
And this star was up here, and in the center of their star, they had candy canes. So we used the Dresden up there. Now, we did keep the trees. Oh, there was the second one of those. We did keep the trees because trees aren't just Christmassy, right? So there's two trees. There's the smaller tree that only has the three. It's shorter and fatter. And then the skinnier one.
I'm the short fat one.
So we have two of one and three of the other. Because there's 5 trees in there somewhere. Yep. Then we did the flying geese that are here and here.
And these are cute.
So there's 2 strips of flying geese. And I think that's it that we've done so far. So now we're going to show you how to do an applique block with the flower pot if you want to applique. So I would start by going to your book and cutting your background fabric 1/2 inch or 1 inch bigger both ways than what the finished block says it's going to be for the stocking block. So I can't give you those measurements, but that's bigger. We're going to, Deb's just going to show you, we don't need that yet. Deb's going to show you how she would put, this is Steamacine, the yellow, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can use Hot Fix. You can use Steamacine Light, Wonder Render. That's probably about it.
Yeah. So we have to,
there's one side that comes off a little bit easier than the other. They both sides will come off.
There's paper on both sides.
And it all depends on where it comes apart, but they both do come off. Sometimes a little further than the other. But you're going to take one side of the paper off, and you're going to lay it.
So don't cut your piece exactly out the way you want it on the block, right?
Right. You
always allow some extra that after you adhere it, then you're going to trim it. And try to cut your Steamacine a little smaller than your fabric. So otherwise, you've got it stuck to something, your iron or the wool mat.
So you can buy the pressing pad, the sheets that you can put on
the
top of your
silicone pressing pads.
And we do have those. So you can put that on your iron first, and then you don't have to worry about it getting your iron dirty.
Yeah. So that's cut just a little bit smaller all the way around so that she can put that on there.
So you see it's kind of sticky because it's like a 2-sided tape for anybody that hasn't used it. So that is actually sticking, but it's not secure enough. So we're going to iron that down. Make sure your iron is on the paper side or you're going to run into a huge mess. So we're going to iron that. And I iron it for...
And you don't hold it in one spot. You kind of just move it around a little bit.
Yeah. I don't want to burn it. If you sat there and hold it, it will burn. And even though you might not notice it right now, it will turn yellow and it will rip. The fabric will tear. And it's hot.
And never try to peel your paper off while it's still hot because that makes a mess and it does not peel good.
You know what? I usually put it to my skin. Anywhere on your skin, it sucks.
So the other thing you can do is if you have like a table or anything, like that's quite cool. You can just lay it on there for a second and it will cool it down, like the top of your sewing machine table or your cutting table, anything will cool it down.
I usually have my leg or something. I like my body.
Okay.
It kind of draws it out quicker, I find. So then we're going to cut directly on the outside of your shape. Okay? So I'm going to just actually cut all along the side. This is
It's cute.
It's going to be a cute flower.
So when you're coming up with your own design and like you're trying to picture or whatever, a good rule of thumb, if you're worried about how you're going to place something because you're not following a pattern, what I sometimes do is I take a pencil and very lightly on here draw the size that you're going to be trimming down to, because even if that, say we're going to trim this down to 6 by 3. Now that's not what we're trimming to, but say we are, or 6.5 by 3.5. Say that's what your block is supposed to measure. I would draw with a pencil 6.5 by 3.5 very lightly, because even when you stitch that, and if it pulls it in a little bit, you've got a 1/4 inch seam allowance that pencil mark is going to settle in. You shouldn't have it pull in any more than that 1/4 inch all the way around. And that gives you that visual. Because, yeah, you can put a ruler on there and try to visualize it, but you got to sort of somehow mark your ruler for the different size blocks. So I quite often will just draw it in pencil, especially if you're going to frig and not follow a pattern, like you're trying to come up with something.
So this is going to be our flower.
Right, so I wouldn't iron that on yet.
No, but I will take the back of it, and you can either score it with a straight pin. I tend to just give it a little tear that way.
And it makes a little tiny rip that you can start pulling. So the good part about this is that you can put that down, and as long as you don't iron it down, you can reposition it a few times, like to see where you're going to put the final thing. So you could have all your pieces ready and get them all laid out and put it down. So we also need, and I don't know whether we're going to do this whole thing, but I want to show you how we would draw the block. So we would need a piece of green to cut your stem out of, right? And then you're just going to judge what size you think looks good. Like you might want to start it at like a 1/2 inch wide and trim it down to that and just lay it there and play with it. Like obviously it's not going to be that wide. That's just before we trim it down. And you can play with it, and if a 1/2 inch looks too wide after you lay it down there with the leaves and everything, you might want to trim it down to like 3/8 of an inch or something, right? So you can...
Or if you don't want to use this and you want to use rickrack.
Yes. And I'm also going to show you if you want to do, if you want your stem to be curved, coming, a little bit of a curve coming up out of the flower pot, I'll show you how to do a bias stem that we can applique on after. So you're going to need a stem. Now I want to show you that when you're doing your own thing here, you can go online. You don't need to have a pattern. You can go online and find tons of free papers that you can print off. So if you want to do a marijuana plant, look, we have one.
You could do it. That was just the right leaf that was there with it.
So this leaf, I kind of like the looks of these leaves. So I wanted to show you that if you take and print it off at full size, which was this one, and if when you get this off, and you lay it down here, like that's way too big, probably, for that block, you can just go to your photocopier and you can print it a little bit smaller. So out of the same page, by reducing my, where's my block? There. By reducing my size on my photocopier, see how much smaller it is? And that's probably going to be a better size to do these leaves out of. Because that one looks way too big. It's going, well, it might not be. You might want to, after...
If your stem was really thick, you might want to do it.
But in comparison to the flower, that's quite a big leaf. I think this one probably looks better, right?
Yeah.
So you can always find free patterns online. So you would do the same technique. I would probably take, where's my green fabric hiding? Did I drop it? I had a piece of green fabric. Yeah, but no, I had one cut right there. So I took a piece of steam seam and I cut it a little smaller than this. And then you would just draw your shape, a couple shapes on there. And then you're going to do the same procedure that she just did, right? If you wanted 3 leaves up your stem, you could draw 3. So this leaf is pretty universal. If you have a leaf that has a real distinct pattern, you may want to reverse it. Sometimes if your pattern, whatever you're working with, is very distinctive and maybe like the point really curls up or something at the top, if you picked a leaf like that, you don't want
both of them going.
You want them going the same, so then you reverse. You draw one on the back of your steam seam. This way, you reverse it to get your reverse image for the other side. Okay? So those are 2 leaves that we would do. For the pot, what I did, or what I would do, is I would take I'm just going to judge by, where's my block? There it is. I'm going to judge by this one because I know that this pot works. So when I hold this ruler right there at the top, not the rim of the pot. I'm not worried about the rim right now. I'm talking about the pot. I am going to use this ruler because that was roughly the size. I'm going to take this piece of paper. Where's my pencil? And because this was the right width for that pot, I'm going to draw a line across there. When I measure the depth of the pot, whatever the depth was of this pot, I am going to want that graded side going down. I'm going to make it the width that I want. So I'm going to say in this case, let's do 3 inches. So I put the 3-inch mark on the line I just drew. This is my parallel line down here, but I'm going to come in like 1/2 inch on this side and 1/2 inch on this side and draw my line. And then when I connect those, right.
1/2 inch is a nice grade.
Yeah. And you can fiddle with this. If you want more of a grade, you can do that. If you don't want to piece the top of the pot, so there is your shape that you're going to iron on and cut out. So if you wanted, you could actually draw this and you wouldn't have to piece this top piece. You could draw that top piece right there, right on top of this. I would need a bigger piece of paper because I used the whole paper. You could draw that right on the top and cut it all out in one piece. The only problem with that is, well, actually there's no problem with that, is there?
No.
That would work perfect. It would. But if you want to piece everything in pieces, or if you want to put a darker rim, like at the top, like something in a coordinating, like a solid or something, you could do a different color.
You could even put a base on this pot. If you
could. If you wanted one of those little saucers sitting under, you could do that, right? So those are the pieces. It's very simple. Then it's just a matter of laying all those pieces out, making sure that it's going to fall within the size that you want it to be in, jiggling it around, have it the same. And this is one other thing that I find helpful. If you take I'm going to take that off just because. If you take this and you make a light pressed mark, fold it in half, make a light pressed mark with either your fingers or your iron, both ways, that gives you something to center your flower on.
Yeah.
Right? Now that maybe won't show because I didn't press very hard. So then you know that you can put
the center of your flower.
There's a line going right up through the center there that you can center right on that line, right there, and know that you've got it centered nicely. And then you can follow down, if you're doing a straight stem, a nice straight line going down. And it gives you something to sort of balance it on your block. So you don't get too much to one side and don't have enough to trim at the end, right?
And then when you trim, you have to trim all 4 sides.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. So that's creasing it does give you like some landmarks to work with, right? So now I'm going to show you if you wanted to do all of this applique, but you think it would be really cute if you had a curved stem coming up out of the pot instead. There is our little bias makers. They come in different sizes. So depending on what you're using it for, I probably would go with this 3/8 of an inch size. So this is what I do. I need this. Okay. Is that going to show? No.
Can you do it up here?
I should be able to. So obviously, if you're going to do a curved one, you've got to cut on the bias. And to cut on the bias, all you're going to do is take your piece of fabric. You're going to take your ruler, because you don't need to have a big piece of fabric for this. This stem is probably only going to be, a few inches long. This isn't like you're binding a quilt on the bias. So you can use a smaller piece. On your ruler, find your 45-degree mark that's on your ruler. Place the 45-degree mark. When I find it, you can't see, right there. The 45-degree mark is going right across there. And if you cut right down here, that will give you your bias. And then you're just going to cut the width that you want. So I find that with this 3/8 of an inch, what did I do with it? Right here. I find with this one that's 3/8 of an inch, if you cut your strip like a strong 5/8, it's a good size for that. Then I put a little bit of a point on one end. Now, I'm going to have to iron this.
I'm good.
I don't know if you're going to be good or not.
Good.
This is what I do. You don't have to do this. I wet this end, and then I dried a bit so that you've got a nice stiff end that will fit in here, and you can get it started better. That end's going to be cut off anyway, or hidden up under the flower. So that gives you a nice piece that you can just feed. So in this, you'll see that there's like a little curved section at the top. And you're just going to run that up in there. If you have trouble, it won't necessarily push right all the way through. Grab a straight pin and stick it down in this little slot and just give it a pull up. Whoops. Of course, I've got gravity working against me here. Just barely get it started coming out the end. Just about that much. Make sure that this has a bit of a curve, like you don't want this curled up down here. You want to make sure that this is going in the right direction. Then I give this, yeah, you're going to get wet. I give this a little bit of a spritz here because I want it to keep it shape. I can't iron with
Yes,
that
you
up there.
can.
I can't.
Yes, just try.
Yeah. So this end that's coming out, you're going to get burnt.
No, I'm not.
You're just going to follow that right along. Can they see what I'm doing? You're going to follow that right along with your iron. And as you go where it's biased, just curl it a little bit and go slow. It doesn't matter what curve you're getting on it now, because the one thing about this is that it will reposition. It just gives you the start of a curve. And you're just going to keep going and let that dry as it pulls through. Now, because this is an awkward position with her, I don't want to burn her. I'm going to stop there. But there's your bias, and you'll see that you can, afterwards, when you lay it on your block, you can position it however you want to position it, with a bit more of a curve, a bit less of a curve.
Put that on the fabric. Where's our background now?
Just wait.
Okay. Just wait.
Just wait. Just wait. Now, I don't know if I would put a curve one on this one, but where's your fabric? Here it is. Stuck to my fingers. There we go. So you're going to put one end up under there.
I think a curve would be cute on it.
And you're going to just put it down in under your pot there somewhere. And just play with it. Again, you're not going to... So you would actually adhere that to your... just with your stitching is what I'm trying to say. I drew a blank.
So you would put a couple of straight pins just to hold it down.
Yeah, or a tack of
the glue.
The glue, like the Acorn Precision Glue or the Sioux Glue or whatever, just to hold it in place, that when you start to do your stitching around your flower and whatnot, that you're going to do your leaves. And then you're going to play with your leaves that you've got done. And like this one is definitely, I think, going to be too big. I think we got to go with the other one.
Yeah.
So, and then you make sure that this went behind your pot, right? When you lay your pot on there.
Yep.
So that's it. But you can do this with a straight piece too, and you don't need bias for straight. Just cut your fabric on the normal with the fabric, or however you cut it. You don't need bias if you're going to just do a straight one with your bias maker. You still use the bias maker. You're not using a bias fabric if you're just going to do a straight one. Okay? So I find it really helps with those if you use a little bit of spray.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I find if you don't, you have to hold your iron on it so long that you might scorch it a bit or whatever. Okay. Like to get a nice crease there.
You could, yeah.
So I just use this, and I actually mix that half with like spring water or distilled water or whatever.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I do. Because I don't want it stiff as a board. I just want it to crisp it up a bit when it's pressed so that it holds those edges nice and whatever. So that's what I would do if I would just play with your pieces, adjusting them around to get them centered on the thing, and then trim your block. I don't trim the block until after I applique.
Good job.
But once you applique any amount, I don't find you get a lot of shrinkage.
No.
It's maybe if you haven't appliqued until you get the hang of like not letting your fabric pull in as you're appliquing.
You kind of hold it out straight
Yeah, you
as
kind
you
of
go.
just keep it so that it doesn't, because otherwise as it does that blanket stitch or zigzag or whatever you do, your machine will just sort of typically like bring it in. So you just want, as you feed it through, to sort of hold your hand on it, keep it smoothed out. So that's what we're going to do.
So we're going to have one piece and we're going to have one.
Well, I don't know unless you want them both applicated.
Oh, well, I like your pieced one too. Then it gives them different.
Okay. Very
We'll
good.
have one of each in ours.
We will. We will. And then you have the choice when you applique of matching your thread to your pieces or going with an accent color. Like if you really like that primitive look, you will see that some people applique like with a really dark thread that really shows, right? To give more of a primitive look. You can use the invisible thread.
I like the invisible.
Deb likes the invisible, and since I'll be appliquing for Deb, I'll be using the invisible. And with the invisible thread, you don't need invisible in your bobbin. You use regular thread in your bobbin, invisible on the top.
The thinner the thread, better. Like a 60 weight in your bobbin works really
The
good.
pre-wound bobbins work really good with it, I find. Really good. Yeah. So it is nice not to frig. The invisible is nice not to frig with changing your colors, right? Otherwise, you got to try to find it. If you don't want to change your colors, you can go with one color. One color that is, I should have brought a spool over to show you guys. Glide has a,
Mocha?
no, Glide has a warm, I think it's called warm gray, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah, there is a warm gray.
There's a warm gray, and it's sort of known to be a chameleon color because I find it takes on the color of whatever it's on. Like, it's called gray, but if you put it on browns, it has a tendency to have more of a beigey look. If you put it on color, it has, like, it just seems to go from looking like a cream to a gray to a taupe to a, I really like that color a lot if you're trying to just get away with one color. I like it. So, what are we going to do? Oh, next week is block of the month, month 7.
Yes. So I do want to say that because of the Canada Post strike, anybody that had a parcel going out this week, we already sent out your next block of the month. For those of you that are only subscribing to the block of the month, there's not a lot of options other than to send it as a parcel, which would cost you more, or to hold on to it until the Canada Post strike is over. So if you want it sent out on time, I need a message from you guys to say, yeah, you're willing to pay extra shipping, or we can hold it till the end. Some people haven't started it, so they're in no big rush for it. So we'll send it out after
And
the
some
strike.
of you have parcels going out on a regular basis anyway, right?
So those all went out. We
Yeah.
sent out probably 75% of them. So if you see them in your bag and there's no charge for them on the invoice, remember that the last block of the month was free because that
you
was
made a
your
down payment at the
so
start. Yeah.
There's no fee to this if it's already gone into a parcel that you've ordered. But if it's shipping just as the block of the month, there will be a fee,
A shipping charge.
a shipping charge of either an envelope fee or a parcel if that's what you decide.
Oh, you use that thread. Isn't that a nice color? I've used that a lot lately. I like it for piecing too, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's next week, right?
Yeah. So what are we going to do on our Christmas? Are we going to show them next what we're doing the next time?
Well, we can show them next week. What
Okay,
we're going to do
we
for the
will.
week after, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's it for tonight, everybody. We apologize. Our stand did not arrive.
Yeah.
And I don't,
And we can't tip this one down because if we do, it's going to be on the floor, smashed.
So we're just trying to get this channel set up because all of our sew-alongs will be on that channel eventually.
So that we can keep them and we don't have to worry about them disappearing, right?
So sorry that we're in both screens tonight. That's not our intent for the future.
Yeah.
We just...
And in the future, we should be able to get things so that we can actually, when we start working on things, we're
We
going to
can
be able to
picture it right down
picture
here.
it right down, facing there, and see what we're doing on the
Because we're
ironing
gonna-
board, on
right.
the sewing machine, on the cutting, everything.
Because we're going to have two
Yeah.
videos.
Yeah, so we should be good. Okay?
All right,
Just-
everybody.
Bear with us. Okay.
It's taken us a while to figure things out. We're not both real techie.
We're not even a little bit.
So if we've missed a question, if you asked anything and we haven't seen your question, send us a private message.
Sure.
Twyla works from home, so I just message her and say there's a question for you or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's it for today, everybody.
Okay. Have a great week, guys.
Bye.